Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. Well, it's Happy Easter. Obviously, we're in the bank holiday now, and Jesus returned yesterday, but it was someone else who turned out to be the saviour, a young, strapping Frenchman, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. I've got Brian Haley with me, and I've got James Johnstone. First time these two have linked up, but they're going to link up like prime Ray Parlour and prime Sylvain Wiltord. I'll let you know which one's which. I'm about that life. And well, obviously it's title running, isn't it? We know those, this is what it's all about now. So we need these guys to step up, and we're going to talk about obviously all the nonsense that came out, the fallout from yesterday, the performance from the boys, and lots more. But before all of that, let's go. Hello and welcome to the show. So Arsenal managed to stop the treble winners, the best team in the world, from scoring for the first time in 57 games. And as usual, we're the villains again. If you see all the fallout from it, which is just pure nonsense. But to talk about that and lots more, I've got Brian Haley with me. How you doing, Brian?
Yep, I'm good. Happy Easter to everyone.
Good stuff. Thanks for coming on, and I know you're in the broom cupboard because it is half term. I know what it's like. I've had the kids there today as well, and madness, pure madness, and it's just the start of the first of the 2 weeks, isn't it? So yeah, pure madness. But thanks, Brian, for coming on, and I've also got the man, the myth, the legend, the Arsenal Rizzer. The man's got so much Riz, Arsenal Riz, you can't even measure it. James Johnstone, how you doing? Thanks for coming back, man. How you doing?
Oh, no, absolute pleasure. No, it's a pleasure to be here and with yourself and with Brian for the first time. I know it's been a little while, but yeah, I'm excited. And like we said a minute ago, what a game to dissect. Well, for us anyway, as fans of Arsenal, yeah. If we supported everyone else, we wouldn't need to do this because we'd be semi-viral by now. We'd be living off the AdSense, wouldn't we? So.
No, thanks for coming on, James, and thanks for your time and yourself, Brian. Before we get into it, let's doff our caps to the Arsenal women who won yesterday. Great performance from them. They did the business against Chelsea. Obviously, we upset a few people in that as well. We just seem to be upsetting people left, right, and centre. Doesn't matter what gender it is. We seem to be just upsetting people left, right, and centre because it seems to be the Arsenal way. So congratulations to the ladies, the Arsenal women, I should say, sorry, on that performance, especially after the worrying scenes with Frida Marnham as well, who collapsed, and thankfully she's in good spirits. She was, communicating, and she came round pretty quickly by all accounts. But great results for the Arsenal women. And obviously, yesterday was the anniversary. Was it 23 years since the passing of Rocky Rocastle? So a man that I was fortunate to speak to on the phone at length, and I'll never forget that. Being a young guy as I was at the time. But yeah, amazing. It's been 23 years, and I think the performance yesterday, the way we dug in and we stood up to the challenge, I think it's something that he would have been proud of. That's something that he did. As we know, when you see the footage of him, there's a few times at Old Trafford where he stepped up to people and he weren't going to be back down for nobody. So yeah, obviously thoughts with his family, obviously in that day yesterday. But we'll talk about yesterday. We'll start with you, Brian. It's obviously 24 hours after the event. What's your thoughts on it? What's your thoughts on the actual result? A lot of people, famous, people who paid for their opinions, who work for Sky Sports and Talk Sport, what have you, had it down as this is a game that we must win. When you consider the record that Liverpool have had over the years and what they've done, and I don't think they've won many games at the Etihad. What was your thoughts on the actual result? You know that you've had time to think on it.
It was, look, I would always look at it as a point gained at the end of the day. You know, I think we went out. There was lots of talk, which you know, even from the likes of, I picked up on something what Gail Clichy kind of said with regarding that we went there looking for a point. We didn't go there looking for a point. We actually went there to get something. If we went there looking to get a point, we'd have got beat, quite frankly. You know, we went there and we were the ones that created the best chances of the game anyway. So I wasn't, you know, when I kept on hearing a lot about the pundits upon how we played, how we set up, you know, look, we've spoken many a time, like with regarding to how us as a side game manage. We've been crying out for the last couple of years how we have game managed games. And that was a prime example how we game managed the game, and no one has realised. Everybody's just talking about the game itself. There was an expectation that the Guardian was going to be, you know, this 3-2, 4-3, 2-2. You know, this kind of high scoring end to end game. It was never going to be that. It was never going to be that. I think, you know, we've been on the back end of beatings there. We had something last season in particular. So this was a game where we had to go in there. We had to be a bit more pragmatic. We had to, you know, we worked on the things of, you know, of matching them up. Okay, virtually going man to man where we had to, because we know that we've got the ability going forward. But did we have the ability to defend? Did we have the ability to, you know, nullify, you know, a lot of what they create and their, you know, and the possession that they generally kind of have? So look. I was taking the point, yeah, and I think what William Saliba basically said is that, yeah, we are disappointed of not getting something, you know, not getting the 3 points, absolutely, because as I said, we created the better chances as well, but you know, we came away with something, and that was the most important thing. I think if we'd have got beat, you know, then you know, the doom mongers would have been out that we don't have the backbone, we don't have this, we don't have that, and this and yeah. So look. We were damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't, really, to be honest with you, in the result.
Yeah, I agree. I think, James, do you think the annoyance, and obviously we've had a lot of fallout after the result yesterday, people saying that this is a performance that Mourinho, Conte and Simeone would be happy with and stuff like that. But do you think it's like touching on what Brian said? Do you think the annoyance that people are throwing, you know, taking shots at us is because we're not that team anymore that goes away to the big six and gets slapped, basically?
Yeah.
You know, we've taken 4 points off of both of them this season.
Yeah.
And you know, we're not getting turned over like we were before away from home. Do you think it's because we're no longer sort of banter FC anymore? You know, and we just
100%.
soft touch.
I mean, Mike, I'll freely admit, you know, I come on various podcasts and I say what I've got to say, and I say a lot of jokes and everything. I don't write this stuff down. It's in my head and I say it. But these people yesterday had the draft. You know, they had to delete all their drafted tweets and everything. They were ready. They were like, here, 4-1 again, Man City. Haaland's going to take his hairband and his hair's going to be flowing like mine is right now. And we're going to have a laugh at Arsenal. And yeah, we completely poo-pooed on the party. And it's like you just said there as well. The whole time, me as well, again, massively guilty of it. Managing game state, I've had problems with, but also I've gone, it's plan A, and then it's plan A with different players. I haven't seen a plan B. Well, yesterday for me was the first time in a long time I've seen a plan B. I've seen an Arsenal side that dug in, player for player, really. Some of them even, you know, sacrificed what is normally their normal game to accommodate a defending game. And, you know, I say to people as well, if you look at the game that we had at home, very early on, okay, they had a lot of players missing, but they never talk about when Arsenal have players missing. Funny enough, it's always the ones that City have got missing. It's never the ones that we have. It's always them. But also, Kovacic should have been sent off very early, and then he got the book, and he knew I can't make another foul. So that because everybody said yesterday about, oh, you know, Jorginho. Well, And I'm like, well, Jorginho's whole thing is that when he's got time, he can spray passes. But yesterday, he had 3 people coming at him straight away. So he hasn't got the time. You know, the lanes or the opportunities that he probably wanted didn't exist because, you know, I think the ref let a lot go yesterday. He let some stuff that was bordering on criminal go. But yeah, I mean, it was a completely different level of game. And okay, to maybe neutrals, they were very, very bored. And it was the usual. This has happened so many times. Sky for a week will go, oh, on Sunday, look what's coming up. And you get these anticlimactic games. But I'm an Arsenal fan. And in the running, I think to me, that's a bloody good point.
Yeah.
And how can you be angry? And like Brian said, they keep going on about how, oh, they were the only ones that wanted to attack and wanted to win the game. Well, the best chances were Arsenal's. The Ake one that they moan about, he didn't know, but also that probably would have got pulled back because it rolled off his arm.
Yeah.
So that probably would have been chalked. That probably would have been chalked off. And then the Haaland one just showed that he was human after all. That was the only 2 really big ones for them that I remember.
The clearer chances fell to us, didn't it? You had
100%.
the Jesus one in the first half. Then you had the one in the second half when it was like Jogo Bonito settings. You know, he was doing drag back after drag back and stuff like that. And then the one at the end when Saka played that ball across as well. The Kanji gave him a nice little nudge, and that sort of seemed to throw him a little bit. It was interesting. Theo Walcott was kind of saying, you know, any kind of decent forward anticipates that and gets right to the far post, which I kind of agree with him. But yeah, bar the Ake chance, there would, and obviously the Haaland one, as you said, James. Yeah, there wasn't anything else. They didn't really open us up as much. And for me, I think it gives me a lot of belief. You know, when you look at obviously the head-to-head record, we've gone away from home against the top 2 teams, you know, over the last 5 or 6 years, and we've not lost to them. Even a Liverpool game which we drew, I think we could have. We were the ones pushing to win that game in the last 10, 15 minutes. We had a couple of opportunities there where we kind of like, oh, you know what, final ball, a little bit like the Trossard situation. But I think, Brian, I think the result, whatever way people want to say we went about it, I think if we can show that we can defend like that against them on their home pitch, on their own turf, we should be able. We should have the realization that if we defend like that and just sort out everything else at top, we should have enough to get this over the line. But what you know, we're looking way ahead. But obviously, the next game is obviously Luton. But do you think that's what they're thinking now as they prepare for Wednesday? That, you know, we've shown that we've got the best defensive record, we've got the best record, goal scoring records. You know, it's all there in black and white. No matter what people have been saying about our anti-football and stuff like that, you know, we've been the best team in the league, you know, over the whole period. But what's your thoughts like going? What do you think this result will give to the guys going forward, to the team going forward?
We can win in different ways.
Yeah,
so I think it's as simple as it gets. We've not seen that enough from us. We've been one-dimensional in some respects and not being disrespectful, because as James quite rightly said, the kind of the plan A has been plan A plus, but well, actually probably more plan A and plan A negative in some aspects. But the plan B, that's exactly what we saw yesterday. That we can get results playing different ways and managing games in different ways, and that's going to have a major effect when it comes to the fixtures that we've generally got coming up. Because when we know that we can go away to Tottenham and get something now, you know, well, we usually do anyway. But you know, that's a different thing. But you know, there are going to be games where, you know, people are going to expect us. You know, Brighton, you know, at the weekend, they're going to be games where people are going to expect us to slip up. But we now know in ourselves and in our own mentality and the way that we go in there with that kind of real heavy team bonding. We know technically that we're good enough to open up teams as well. And now we know how defensively that we're good enough to, you know, I think, you know, that aspect of having that plan B and winning games differently is going to, you know, it's going to take it to the wire. It really will take it to the wire.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we'll look at the running in a minute, James. But I think the teams that we are going to be playing against, even the ones away from home, you might look at it on paper and say, "Oh, that's a bit tight." We could have a little bit of problems there. But people say, "Oh, Tottenham and Man United away from home, Brighton," but they're not going to play like that. They're going to be more open than City were, right? Or they're not going to dominate possession like that. So for me, again, I go on it that. Obviously it's not so straightforward as that. There's like so many variables, as we know. But if we go out with that same mindset defensively, if we're just a bit sharper in transition, we get obviously Martinelli back. We should be there to be able to get this over the line. Obviously, touching on fitness and the games we've got to come. But what's your thoughts on that, James? I mean, in terms of just how this result will resonate with the players and lead into like a game like Wednesday, which is almost has the feel of the you've come back from the international break, you've put in an effort. Now you're playing against a team that's struggling for to stay up. You should be turning them over. Is this a test now on where Arteta's got to manage the squad, rotate? Who is he bringing on the back of that knowledge that we put in a proper defensive performance?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, if you look at the whole weekend, straight after the break, no team went away from home and won. So that to me just indicates to you how difficult it can be. So, and like we've just talked about, we went to arguably the greatest side in the world and got what we all believe is a very, very good point. But yeah, on to what you said there, I think it's as much as like what Brian said as well earlier, Saliba and Odegaard after the game didn't really indicate that they were angry that they didn't get more, but they said that they were disappointed. But then you contrast that to what Arteta has said, and he was absolutely glowing about it, a bit like when they tried to pump us for how we were after the Community Shield. And he was just saying, no, listen, he's like, I know it's a penalties and everything else, but mentally, my lot needed to know that they can go toe-to-toe with this juggernaut team, not just physically and on a football pitch and financially and everything else, but beat them in whatever circumstances. We beat them, and I think that was a huge mentality moment. I think doing them at home was another one. I think beating Liverpool at home was another one, and I think winning against Porto on penalties, which was another way that we had to win a game, has mentally, as a group, these lot are just every week or so are finding other little intricacies to the game where they just keep getting better and better and better. And I think as well, coming so close last season and then ultimately falling at the final hurdle hurt them. And they're all like, don't ever let that happen again. So, And I mean, the best compliment I saw from Arteta was when he said, they asked what he was most impressed with or what have you. I can't remember the exact quote, so apology. But it was like, well, when I've got a group of lads that see 35 passes without getting the ball back, but yet they still stay switched on and they don't, we had that whole thing with Ramsdale where he said he can't concentrate for a full. He's like, every single one of them knew, oh my God, they knew. We were watching it and we were on the WhatsApp with everybody in our in the Purely group, weren't we, Mike, going, cool, we're under the swarm here, I don't like it. Yeah. But they didn't care. They would a whole time like, don't worry, because we'll get that ball back, and then as soon as we get that ball back is what we're going to do with it. Yeah. So they there was no time where they were under the swarm to me where it looked like, oh my God, they're panicking. Kivior, for however shaky he was, he still held firm. And I mean, we're going to probably speak about him in a minute anyway, so I don't want to jump the gun. But yeah, I think what he did in a defensive aspect of the game was very well. But what that man did in the final third, I guess we'll talk about it in a minute. I mean, that's the argument that I keep having with everybody is everyone goes, oh yeah, but James, he played. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't buy a 50 million Brazilian number 9 to go, oh, he was brilliant filling in at left back, wasn't he? Yeah. He did really well there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, great segue, James, into that. That's why I love having you on, mate. I don't know, it's like like Neo in the Matrix. You know what's coming, but yeah, Jesus, had those chances, and I think in the WhatsApp group, I think I said I would have stuck with Trossard because I think we've had that fluidness going forward in attack. But obviously, yesterday was more about being more defensive and getting someone in who's going to backtrack and double up. And I think that's what Jesus has done. Many times for Man City, and for us, obviously, in the return game, in the first game at the Emirates when Saka was injured and he played on the right hand side. It's interesting really, because some people are saying, well, with the injuries, has Jesus turned out to be a good signing or a successful signing for us? You know, I think last season, before he got his injury in the World Cup, I think he definitely brought us up a level, Brian, in terms of, you know, the standards and the levels that we needed to be to compete and to be in a title race. And I think he's definitely done that. But I think now it's almost like we play better. We almost play better, or more. We're more fluid without him in that final third, because he just seems to hang on to the ball a little bit too long. Decision making is still a little bit slower than it is, you know, more someone like Trossard. But then you see what Trossard did when he had his opportunity. I think for me personally, in the summer, obviously, I believe that we need to get a striker. We need to get a number 9 in a proper, you know, more of a unit number 9. Then that means, does Jesus have to settle for a role where he maybe is going to be the guy to come in on the left or right to make the squad a little bit deeper, or to try and compete with the number 9, whoever it is we get in? I'm just a bit worried, because we've seen what he kind of did and didn't do last season in the running, and we're in that situation again. And you kind of think in the Champions League against Bayern, I think something about the Champions League, when he hears that anthem, he turns into beast mode. He's got an amazing record in the Champions League, and I think he'll be really vital in that. But I think when you play, he just overcomplicates it. I think he just over eggs it a little bit. He gets a little bit too emotional. I mean, the yellow card he got was absolute nonsense. There's absolutely no reason for him to do that. And I think the since January, I think we probably agree with me on this, but we've been a lot more colder in terms of the way we've put teams to bed. We've not got, you know, emotionally involved in things like as much as we, maybe the Brentford game and maybe a little bit of the Porto game. But I think we've been a lot more colder and more efficient. We've seen that. Look what we've done away from home. But I think when you get Jesus back in, he starts to maybe just bring a little bit of that away. It strips a little bit of that away a bit, and it's a bit more off the cuff and not as clinical. I mean, that second chance, I think when he could have just opened his right foot up and curled that into the bottom corner, and he didn't do it. He's dragging it back and he's bringing it back again. It's like, what are you doing? But what's your thoughts on his performance? I think, yes, like James said, he was really good defensively. You know, the defensive shape, doubling up and everything. But he was lucky he didn't get a yellow right after a couple of minutes with that foul he done on, and that's what I mean. He just does things which is like, he's not cold. He's not cold blooded. He's very, you know, he's South American, isn't he? He's very, very hot blooded type of guy. How he plays, that's how he is. But what's your thoughts on Jesus and just what part he has to play in the next couple of games? For example, Wednesday. Would you play him Wednesday, or would you play him up front, or what would you do?
Well, I think the first thing with Jesus, my issue is he's too in and out of the squad. You know, an injury here, an injury there. He's too in and out of the squad, and that, I suppose, upsets his own balance of play. Then it upsets when he comes into the side how we play at times, because when you, as you said about being kind of emotional as well, that to me, I wouldn't have started him yesterday. My personal view, I wouldn't have started him yesterday, because it was as an emotional individual and against a side that he's basically won trophies with before, and now is in a side where he wants to win trophies with. Probably wasn't the right game for him in some respects, when you need kind of, you know, as you said, you know, people who are are kind of very focused, you know, cold-blooded, know what we got to do, know what the job is. You know, it probably wasn't a game that I personally probably wouldn't have started him. That's my view. And but arguably, I would probably have started him for the game at Bayern Munich because of that Champions League experience. You know, so it's he's a conundrum, is Jesus, because he does so many. He can do some really great things. He has done some great things for us. But when it's come to times when we desperately need that, he says, that that coldness, you know, and that kind of that sharpness as well at times. He's because he's just too in and out of a team for us. You know, if you see us, Jesus was probably, if you played him for 38 games in a season, you know, could he score 15 goals for us? Could he score 20 goals in a season for us? It's it's
It's your point, isn't it?
yeah.
Because he does
Yeah.
so much work outside of the box, and I think you mentioned it in the WhatsApp group, James. He was just so deep. He was just affecting like Havertz's game. He just worked there on certain occasions. But again, you touched on it in terms of what he was doing with Kivior, how he kind of helped him out of a few holes a little bit when he seemed to be getting skipped a few times by Bernardo Silva, who I thought had a good game and looked dangerous as he normally does. And it's funny him kind of complaining about the way we set up for us. And I think there's a meme going around saying there's one of De Bruyne on the bench with Pep, and he's saying, "Oh, where's Mustafi? Where's Kolasinac? You know, what's going on? We used to play against these Muppets. We're not playing against these anymore." But yeah, so what's your take on Jesus and just how he's kind of used going forward? Because obviously we remember he's still coming off of another injury, and obviously I think part of it was for me was kind of thinking maybe I'm looking too deep, but was Arteta going to City and having two of the old City boys on the bench might have had might have dented their self-confidence a little bit, just Zinchenko and Jesus, because they've obviously left City to be a focal part in this new Arsenal team and this new build, and they're both on the bench sort of thing. So it's almost like, you weren't good enough for them. He's let you go, and you're on the bench for me. So it kind of, do you know what I mean? So maybe that was kind of playing for why he kind of put him in with that sort of little bit of a fire under him. But what was your thoughts on his performance yesterday?
Yeah, I think you make a fantastic point there, but at the same time, it's so funny because it just goes to show you how quick football can just change. We went from last year going, "Oh my God, look how good we are with these two City boys." They've left them, and look what they've done to us. But now they hinder. I feel they hinder us too much. I think both of them. I think we're better off without them than we are with them, which it just shows the drastic change of how quick football can move on and everything else, and how cutthroat it can be. But every single player, Mike, that we've had that's injured and everything else like that now, they're the ones that I'm looking at more so. Everyone who starts, I'm relatively happy. I know that I know what he's going to give me, what level he's going to give me, and I don't have to worry. But all these other ones that are coming in, so that's, Jesus Partey, Zinchenko when he eventually does, Tommy Asu when he come on the other day. I thought he had a slow game, but then towards the end, I'm like, no, you're back to how you normally look. Yeah. They're the ones that I'm looking at because it is the squad game now. We know that we've got a very, very, very good first 11, but it's what can the rest do? And that's the big thing. And I find Jesus so frustrating because I can watch him do like he did against Leicester last season, or spin and curl in that goal against Seville, was it, or Lens, or whatever it was in the Champions League earlier this season. Yeah, he gets two what I would call sitters yesterday, and he fluffs them both. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. I'm like, how can you do the impossible, but yet the easy ones are the ones that you either don't anticipate or you miss? But I still believe, like what you've put there as well, especially Champions League coming up, he's going to be very, very important. So I don't want to completely skin into the guy, but he's definitely got to improve. And if you go back in, and look at the performance, I would say, like earlier, as an attacking player, not to the level, but overall, I can't knock his game because. We've had it before where we've had players in that position where all they did was score goals and they offered you nothing else. And we would sit there and go, if he don't score, what's he? He's a waste of a player, because if he doesn't score, he does nothing. Well, with him, if he doesn't score, he might assist somebody, or he's going to run. He's going to give you every single last blade of oxygen that he's got in his body. And, that can be important. But I did feel slightly yesterday, he hindered quite a lot of the attacking play of the others. I mean, he's been called the best pressing centre forward in the world. But yesterday he was so deep. I mean, Odegaard was screwing at him and Havertz at times,
Yeah.
weren't he? Where he was like,
Tell him
join
to
it.
push up,
I'm
yeah.
the only one. It's like, come with
Yeah.
me and we'll do it together. And they just both were like, no, we're good where we are.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, before we move on, we've got to talk about obviously it was such a great defense, resolute defensive display. Before we got to talk about the two we call them our own Mitchell brothers in the middle there, but we also got to talk about this guy who looks surprisingly fresh. On in the return to Premier League action, and I thought he was outstanding. To be honest, he put over a delicious ball, which was the chance that fell to Jesus. He put over a lovely couple of passes, link ups on the right hand side. I thought, again, he was outstanding again. He goes under the radar. I think a little bit, and it's funny. He had a bit of obviously difficult couple of weeks with the whole Southgate issue. We know that obviously Gabriel Magalhaes came out of the national squad for Brazil because of his issue, and obviously Saliba got dug out by his own manager. And I don't know, maybe Southgate and Deschamps were on a conference call or something and saying, just how do we undermine our own chances of winning the trophy this summer? I mean, the stuff that Deschamps was saying about Saliba was wild. But on the back of that, he puts in a performance which got him the Man of the Match award, which he got obviously against Liverpool as well at Anfield. He was outstanding that day as well, Saliba. And we've got to spin it back a little bit, guys, because obviously we all know what happened last season when he got injured against Sporting Lisbon, and the wheels kind of started to come off, and we all kind of said, look, we know how vital Saliba is, to that's where it all kind of fell off. You put Rob Holding in, he does his best, but he's no Saliba, as we obviously know. And the general consensus was, what are you talking about? You can't be reliant on just one player. You can't. You're meant to be title chasers, and one player comes out and you fall apart. But see, James, you saw the difference. The way we lined up, we dropped, 10, 15 yards back. Starting where we were attacking. And I don't know if you saw it on Sky Sports, where Gary Neville talks about how great Saliba was and how vital he was. And Michael Richards jumps in and says, well, hang on a second. I said last season, Saliba being out of the team was a massive reason why Arsenal didn't win the league. You poo-pooed that. You said that was nonsense. Now you're saying, hang on a second. And he's gone to Anfield. He's got a Man of the Match as well. And he's got So again, it just goes to show that these pundits, they're just like, just sway in the wind. They just say whatever. And
I mean, I don't know if you guys listen to Nader Manua a lot, but he said ages ago, didn't he? He went, they don't know ball. He said they're controversial opinions for clickbait, and he got pelters for that. And he went, just telling it as it is. Yeah. He said they don't understand the modern aspects of the game because they've been out of it for so long. I mean, I think Nader Manua only retired 2 or so years ago, so he's a bit more up to date with it than the others. But I mean, like you said, when Rob Holding had to come in, as much as Rob Holding's gone now, and we thank him for what he did. We did have to, 15 to 20 yards further back.
Yeah,
and it was literally an invitation for teams to come and attack us, which they did, and that's how we lost. And I mean, all of our best chances yesterday, if you watch them back, comes from the fact that we're playing such a high line, because we retrieved that ball from there. They're already too highly pressed, and it's basically springing and hitting them on the counter. So you do not get that without Saliba or Gabriel in there. So that they are massively important, and they are, again, not even being biased, I watch a lot of football as much as I can. For me, they are the best partnership in the world in terms of centre backs at the moment, because they complement one another. I mean, even I would say this season, Gabriel's been the better out of the two of them. I think he's really stepped up compared to what he's. I mean, not that he was bad to begin with, but he's come along so much more this season, where Saliba's look shaky. And they really do complement each other. And Ben White, again, he for some of that, he was our only attacking outlet. I mean, it's the classic. It's the classic, with Fjortov, isn't it? Where he's like, well, hang on a sec, we are quite good at football as well, and that's just him all over, isn't it? He's like, yeah, I am actually quite good at football, and I'm not just this guy that everyone likes to, take the mick out of. I'm actually quite a good footballer on my day, so.
Yeah.
And more power to him. I don't want to go. Yeah. If I could get picked for England at the moment, not that call's ever going to come in, but I'd say no as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, just nonsense. That whole stuff. He was superb yesterday. Ben White, absolutely superb.
Tell him I'm washing my hair that day, so I can't blame.
And but touching on what James said, obviously in terms of the squad before Bri, obviously we've got Luton on Wednesday, and I think I've sent a message to you guys. We've been asked by Mikel to trust the process, which we have. Is it time? Is this the time for him to trust his players? He has to do that because I think the guy might have been playing sort of 4D chess with his squad, because if you remember last year or the year before that, when Saka was getting battered left, right, and centre, he still does, obviously, getting battered left, right, and centre, and people then were saying he's playing too many games. And what did Arteta say? He said, if you want to get to the elite level, you've got to be ready to play, a game every 3 days. That's what the top players do. That's what the elite players do. Messi, Ronaldo, they play every 3 days. Every 3 days. April, that's pretty much what we've got. If you look at what we've got coming up, it might be a bit hard to see, but we've got the fixture list. It's pretty much 3 days in between what we've got. When we play our neighbours at the end of the run, I think they've got like a 2-week break or something like that. I think they've got like a 2-week window. So that's going to be interesting to see how they come out, if it's going to work in their favour or not. But yeah, we've got a lot of games coming up, Brian, and obviously it all starts on Wednesday against Luton. What do you think this is it now? We're getting Partey. We've got Partey back. I thought he looked good. He played a couple of nice, progressive passes to Odegaard, and I think we saw last season. I think Odegaard plays better when Partey's there because he gets those kind of balls quicker. I don't think I don't think Jorginho or Rice are able to do it to that. Almost automatically as Partey can do it. And I think there was the one he played, wasn't it, to Odegaard, which then released Trossard, wasn't it? It was the one that the pass before. So I think if he can get him back and build his minutes up, and then obviously Jorginho's done an amazing job. But I think if you get a 80% Partey in there doing that job, I think it's going to be a little bit better, especially with what we've got to come. But do you think this is a time now he has to trust the squad he's got? Tomiyasu back as well. Obviously Timber. Obviously maybe towards the end of the month, who knows? It might be a surprise one day. What's going to happen? We're going to see the lineup. What the club do. There won't be no mention of him whatsoever, and he'll just be there on the subs bench, and everyone will just go mental. But yeah, what's your thoughts for Wednesday, Brian? I mean, how much do we rotate? How much are these players that he's thrown the gauntlet down? He's put the seed in their heads. If you're an elite player, if you're a top player, you've got to be ready to go. 3 days time. Yeah. And then again against Brighton.
Yeah, I think the manager's got to make. He's got to make some decisions. That's what he's.
You still there, Brian?
The buyer. Is
your Wi-Fi's what? I think your Wi-Fi's cutting up a bit, Brian.
Oh,
I can hear you. You there?
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's right.
Room cupboard, isn't it? Yeah, I think do you kind of have one eye on the Bayern Munich game, or do you think 3 points is the most important? Now, to me, you take the next game is the most important. So the 3 points is more important to me. So other than the fact of obviously looking at people who may have fatigued during the game in City, so Saka, players that possibly came off, You've just got to go with your strongest team, and just hopefully that they're all basically going to be fit enough to basically last out at least 70 or 80 minutes, where we can then see a game out and then change it around. Yeah, to me, as I've said numerous times in the cast, Mike, I've said the Champions League is. I personally look at it as a free hit this season. We're an unknown. We haven't been in the competition for 8 years. There shouldn't really be a major expectation, because the people are just going to think, well, the usual suspects will be there or thereabouts at the end anyway. So to me, the 3 points against Luton is the most important game. The Bayern Munich game will be a game which we should go out and enjoy. Have no fear, regardless. And yeah, it's just looking at the squad. You've just got to look at what the squad at this moment with regarding who's, as I said, there's fatigue from the City game. What we can get out of them, what we can get out of them. But the bench have got to be they've just got to be ready. They have literally just got to be ready. The Emil Smith-Rowe, I mean, we haven't seen an awful lot of him, but strange enough, he could play this month of April. He could play a part in that. I lost you guys.
This could be this could be it. This could be the whole thing. It could be these last 10. Hopefully 15 games. 15 games that we've got. Hopefully it's coming up. Or is it 14 now? I can't remember. I lost count. But yeah, if we all go all the way in the Champions League, yeah, it could be those guys coming in to make them, which you coming from left field a little bit.
Look, as I said, and James, you've quite rightly said, the squad in itself have just got to be ready for this part of the season, because this month is effectively, you may as well class it as a season definer. So everybody has effectively got to be on their toes, because the season could end at the end of this month for us, one way or another.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So people have got to be ready, for that chance, and to make it, and ultimately could actually make a name for themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you make a good point, because if you really look at it, Kivior, before when he come on against Liverpool, I think we found a player that day. We were like, oh, you now, it's your turn. So if I was Arteta, I'd be going to the ones that are on the fringes, and they're a lot more experienced than what Kivior is, especially in terms of playing for Arsenal, because he's still relatively new in his career. But I'd be going to him. Look what he's done. He's come completely out the cold and stepped up. And it's like, I will give you, I will give you the opportunity. Yeah. I'm not afraid to take an established, because Zinchenko's been back for a while, but he's still playing Kivior ahead of him. So he's not afraid to bench one of these, international established type of players if you're stepping up and proving that you can do something. So I think the motivation, I mean, if you're not going to be motivated to win 2 trophies, one that we've never won in our history, and another one that a generation of our fans have never seen us win. It's nearly 2 decades since we won it.
Crazy.
That stadium, okay, we've had the FA Cups, but that stadium needs those 2 trophies put along that, thing around the side. Because there's a big gap. There's a big gap there from the last one. So we need to start filling that up again. I want it to be a stage where there's no space left. We're going to go, where are we going to, we have to be like small print or something. Yeah, that's what we all want. But yeah, I think if you can't step up now, when are you ever going to? And I believe, like I said earlier, with how cutthroat, it's getting, I think a lot of them, it will be like, this is it for you, because you ain't going to be here in the summer, because the level's going up and up again. And it's like, you need to match that, or you're not going to be at this club anymore. So we'll see. It's time for a lot of them to wake up and stand up and be counted, Mike. 100%.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned to you earlier today. I think I said, I've got kind of vibes of the Southampton and the Bournemouth games where we were at home and he made a couple of maybe 3 changes on each occasion. And we just got caught cold. We all know what happened in both of those games. But I think the difference is the mentality is completely different now. We're a different team. From where we were then. Again, we're not as emotional. We're a lot more colder and more efficient in terms of the job that we need to do. Obviously, the likes of Rice, and I think especially Havertz as well. He was just a nuisance yesterday. You couldn't really say, was there anything? Was there a shot that he didn't make a shot? It wasn't a concise pass he made, a key pass or anything like that. But he was just there as a nuisance. So,
and I'll tell you what he did do as well, Mike. For us in our box, I think I counted about 4 or 5 where we were making the fouls quite high up, and then they were getting De Bruyne or whatever to whip that ball in off the set piece. He was like, no. He did that superbly. Yeah. And again, I know people could go, "Oh, you're critiquing a centre forward that was doing well at left back, and now you're talking about your other centre forward defending in your box." Well, when you've got someone that's 6'4", use them to that advantage. Yeah, I think 100%. That's why Arteta loves him, because he can use him in so many different places to do so many different jobs. Bit like Rice, isn't it? You got 2 in 1 there. You got a bit of a Swiss Army knife of a player that can do a bit of everything for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was his usual standard as well. A couple of nice interceptions and breaking up play was just brilliant. But we'll just show this, guys. The run in. I don't know if that's a bit too small, but I'll try and bring up on another slide. So as it stands for me, we've got like 80%. Was it 18% Opta have given us 18% to winning the league, something like that. For me, Liverpool, you've got to put them in as favourites. It's funny. I think Guardiola said that as well yesterday. We know we've got to look at it one game at a time, but I can see. I don't know. I've got a funny feeling United might do something to them. I think United might try and catch them. Might do the whole rope-a-dope thing. I know it's not going to be nothing like the cup game, which was just absolutely ridiculous. That was just bonkers. But I just think there's going to be something else is going to happen. I just think the belief that we've got from the result yesterday and just how we defended, we're not going to be up against anyone else like that. A team that plays that way, let's say. And I think everyone else, they're going to give us opportunities. We just need to be clinical on that day. Obviously, whoever it is we're going to be playing against, and be careful of a couple of banana skins. I think, Villa, we owe Villa, and we know what Unai's like. But I think he's going to be maybe at that time he's going to be putting his eggs in his basket for the Europa Conference, because we know what he's like when he gets European final in his nostrils. He drops everything, doesn't he? We saw that in we've got evidence of that. We saw what he did in the Palace. He made all those changes and we drew 2-2, and we dropped out of the getting into the Champions League via the league. So it's going to be interesting. But I think we've been told, we have to go win at Old Trafford, the Etihad. We haven't, and now Liverpool are there. For me, I don't want to hear anything else. If Liverpool lose it from here, let's see if people are going to start calling them bottle jobs and stuff like that. And because this is what the media wanted, didn't they? They wanted them in this position to win it on Klopp's.
Can I just ask you two something quick? Because yesterday when I was watching Sky, Gary Neville said, "Well, Man City are the only side that's shown that they can go 9 games without losing." And I thought to myself, well, hang on a sec here, because that 9 games that I just watched Arsenal play before, I can't remember. Maybe I watched different games, but I was like, well, we've just gone on a 9-game undefeated run, Gary, as well. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I was surprised nobody pulled him up on it at the time, but
it's crazy.
I get what he meant in hindsight, but still, for me, I think everybody in there, Mike, are going to drop points somewhere. Yeah. It's just you got to be ready and you got to do what you got to do on the day. I used to look at it and go, "Oh, we'll win this one, we'll draw that one." I'm not doing that now. I'm just taking every game as it comes. Like, I've been burnt too many times trying to predict it, so I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it to the players. Yeah,
one game at a time.
And I'll try my hardest not to go to any, because I went to Southampton last year and I feel responsible. So get to my seat 30 seconds in and then it's a goal. So I'll dodge it this year for everybody.
Yeah, fair play. Yes, hope we can. I think now one game at a time. You know, they say one cup final, cup finals now. But Luton, all focus on that. Obviously remember what happened last time up there. Was it 4-3, wasn't it? And Rice did the business in last was it in injury time? So hopefully he's a little bit more comfortable. Going to be fascinating to see what kind of team he puts out, and I know he's going to definitely have one eye on Brighton, just the way that they play and the way that De Zerbi sets up as well. And I think it's a little bit of it's a bit personal with him. I think he respects the way he played, but I think when they turned us over last season at home 3-0 and they basically killed the charge, I think that stung. And the way De Zerbi acted that day when he slid on the pitch and everything like that, when they scored the third one, he's doing knee slides when they're 3-0 up. It's like, what are you doing? I think our performance against Brighton at home was probably one of the best performances we've had of the season. I think that was one everyone sat up and thought, what they slapped, they proper slapped up Brighton. That weren't a 2-0 game. That was 4-0. That was a proper beating. That was.
They won't play as badly as they played yesterday against us. 100%. I know they're at home anyway, but they were shocking yesterday. That's the worst I've seen Brighton play. They were terrible yesterday.
Don't know what that defender was doing for Salah's goal. That one. I mean, he was.
I love Dunk to bits normally, but he just completely let him run past. Like, wow, what have you done there?
Yeah, that's an England hangover. That's an England hangover.
Yeah,
that's why Ben White hasn't gone.
Should have played Uno with his wife. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh dear. But no, let's see. So we got Luton on Wednesday. We'll probably do a show after the Brighton game, recap that one and the Brighton result, and then we look ahead to the return of a certain Arsenal fan playing for his new team, which is going to be interesting to see how they're going to set up.
Gnabry, here we go.
Yeah. And the other one, we won't mention him. Yeah. It's like the candy man, isn't it? Don't mention his name because he's come back to get his goal. We knew it. We all said it. As soon as he signed for them, we said we're going to get them in the Champions League because he's got to get his penalty. He's got to get his penalty at the Emirates, and for his stats. Show that to his kids.
Falls over.
Yeah. So we've got that to look forward to as well. But no, before we go, obviously it's April Fools, and I like to think I'm funny. Well, my wife tells me that all the time. But we thought we'd show you this. Happy April Fool's Day. It's something that you probably will never see. That's Tottenham lifting up some silverware, and we won't ever show you that again on this show. So thanks very much.
I've got plenty of empty shelves for them at the moment, right? Plenty.
Thanks very much, Brian, for your time. Really appreciate it. Great chat. Hope to have you on soon. Love to the family, and look after yourself during this half term. It's getting like the Wild West out there at the moment. With the kids all over the place on their electric scooters, just coming out into the road while I'm going around the corner. It's just madness. So when you've got nothing better to do, you just go inside and play your Xbox or your PlayStation 5 or whatever it is. You're doing your e-scooters. Madness. But anyway, look after yourself, Brian. James as well. Great to have you back on the show. It's been a while. I know you've been a busy man and everything, but thanks very much for your time. Great stuff as always. Yes, this show will be obviously on the usual platforms, Spotify, Acast, and we'll get it out as quickly as we can. Thanks for all the support, and we'll be back probably after the Brighton game, and hopefully be talking about a couple of good results and keeps us in the hunt for this title, this elusive title, first time in 20 years, and we've got to get it. So thanks, guys. All the best, and up the Arsenal.
Man, remember, Giroud into the box, and they have immediately.